I wish you a beautiful day. I would like to introduce my friend Rieka. It's a very kind dog, very good friend. She is very lovely. So, today I'm sitting in the nature. Dear friends, into this video I would like to pause at one thing that is very important for Satientis. Just a moment, something with the camera. Okay. It is the question of how a spiritual path can remain alive, open and free, while not falling apart into a random mixture of everything possible. On one side, the system Satientis shouldn't become a dogmatic system where it is decided once and for all what must be believed, what must be repeated, and what can never change. On the other side, Satientis shouldn't become the opposite extreme either, a space where every meeting turns into a freely flowing conversation about something different every time. For this reason, Satientis needs two things at the same time: a firm core and an open space, external practices. It's here. It's a good to look at the image on the web. Yeah. On the left there is a community, and in the side there is a 70% core. The basic proportion can be described simply. 70% is the core and 30% is the open space, external practices. The core holds depth. The open space, external practices, holds liveliness, which is also communication with the world. In the open space, external practices, Satientis listen to new practices. If according to the rules described later, they are in harmony with the core, Satientis moves forward courageously and practices these new practices together with newcomers. In this way, it lets them know that it respects them and that is exploring their perspective. At the same time, newcomers can feel accepted. The core of Satientis. The core is what doesn't change easily in Satientis. It isn't a dogma in the sense of you must believe. Rather, it is a shared a shared language and a shared practice. A person for whom Satientis is truly a deeply personal and authentic path should be, in principle, in harmony with this core. The core of Satientis stands above all on these values: mindfulness, truthfulness, a healthy distance, compassion, self-giving, human rights, and reverence for mystery. This is the supporting structure of the whole system. Mindfulness means the ability to be present to what is happening in the body, in the mind, in relationship, and in the moment. Truthfulness means not lying to oneself or to others. Healthy distance means not clinging or to be grasped, to be attached, extremely attached to something. Compassion means that the path is not only about my inner peace, but also about the ability to see the pain of others. Self-giving means that love is meant to become in action. Human rights protect the spiritual path from pressure and humiliation. And reverence for mystery means that we acknowledge a depth of life that we don't own. Ritual practice of the core. The core also has its ritual form. Ritual here doesn't mean spectacle, nor does it mean spiritual power over others. Ritual means a repeated return to what is essential. For this reason, certain things can be repeated in a similar way during meetings. Quiet arrival, lighting a candle as the light of mystery. A short recitation of the confession or something like that, or the 10 sentences of Satientis, breathe meditation, mindfulness of the body, feeling, desire and clinging, and sure aspiration of compassion or metta, a moment of silence, that is, being with mystery, and perhaps also a simple commitment to service or a question for life. It is repetition that creates depth. If every practice were different every time, the mind would have nothing to lean on. Tradition doesn't arise only because we have good thoughts. It arises because we return to them. The doctrinal minimum of the core. The core also includes a doctrinal minimum. Again, this is not doctrine in the sense that someone must accept unverifiable claims. It is a set of basic terms to which Satientis returns. Everything arises, changes, and passes away. In experiences, we don't find an unchanging core. Clinging gives rise to dissatisfaction. Mindfulness opens a space between feeling and reaction. Healthy distance helps us live more lightly. Healthy distance is meant to mature into compassion. Mystery is honor it but not possess it. And truth should remain kind. This is the core, not perfection, not spiritual superiority, not escape from the world. Rather, it is a path toward living more truthfully, more lightly, more kindly, and with less inner tightening. Let's speak about changes in the core. The core can develop, but it must not change randomly. In Satientis, there shouldn't be one person or one arbiter or one superior figure who says, from today on, the core is different. A change in the core can arise only slowly, naturally, and broadly. It may happen that a new external practice appears in a community that is a practice of the the open space. More information about the open space, external practices, will come shortly. Here, let us look at the image again on the web. A new practice first appears in one concrete community as an external practice, not as change of the core. Such a practice goes through discernment, begins to be truly lived there, and over time other communities may also accept it. If at least 70% of Satientis communities accept such a practice over time as their external practice, the question may open as to whether this practice already belongs to the core. In the image, this can be seen in the lower part. If, for example, 8 out of 10 communities accept the practice, that is more than 70%. The way toward the core can open. If only 6 out of 10 communities accept it, the core remains uninfluenced. Here, the important thing is this power does not decide, authority does not decide, the founder does not decide. Broad adoption across communities decides. This protects Satientis from two sides. It allows development, but at the same time it protects the core from sudden changes, personal influence, or the mood of one group. Let's say something about open space external practices. As I said before, the second part is the open space external practices. It forms approximately 30% of the shared practice. It is not a second core. It doesn't rewrite the core, and it doesn't change it directly. It is an extension that allows a concrete community to breathe in its own way. Various inspiration can enter the spark from Judaism, Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, shamanism, pagan traditions, psychology, art, personal experience, or ordinary life. But they don't enter in the style of "let us change everything today." They enter more through the question, can this practice enrich our community without disturbing the core of Satientis? The open space external practices is therefore a gateway to the world. Satientis doesn't want to be a closed system that asks no one and listens to nothing. At the same time, it doesn't want to become a shapeless mixture. These 30% have exactly this meaning. They are a space of communication, encounter, acceptance, testing, and sharing. Newcomers are not only instructed, they can also be heard. Some of their own practice can be shared, discerned, tested, and sometimes accepted as an external practice of a given community. But 30% is boundary. People who identify more deeply with Satientis have their center of gravity in the core. They don't need to keep searching for something else instead of the core. The open space external practices serves so that Satientis can communicate with the world, not so that the core dissolves. And now the method of absorption. And here Here comes what I call the method of absorption. It is a way of discerning whether a new element can enter the external practice of concrete community. It is not enough that something is interesting, old, exotic, or strongly experienced by someone. A new element must pass through 6 gates. The first is the gate of truthfulness. Yeah? Gates are such filter. Yeah? The first gate, gate of truthfulness, we ask, can this be supported by experience, reason, scientific knowledge, or is it at least honestly acknowledged as a symbol? If something is only a personal belief, it must not be presented as certainty. The second is the gate of inner transformation. Does it help a person see more truthfully? Does it soften clinging? Does it reduce mental suffering? Does it lead to greater mindfulness? The third is the gate of compassion. Does it lead to kindness, non-harming, service, and respect for the other? Or does it support fear, guilt, manipulation, superiority, or a cult of personality? The fourth is the gate of freedom. Does it force a person into one uniform belief, or does it leave space for personal interpretation, doubt, and diversity? The fifth is the gate of practice. Can it be lived? Can it be transformed into meditation, contemplation, ethics, conversation, service, ritual, or an everyday attitude? The sixth is the gate of healthy distance. Do we avoid becoming rigid around it? Does the element remain open to revision, refinement, or abandonment if it proves unhelpful or harmful? That's all. Approving an external practice. When an element is to be accepted as an external practice of a concrete community, it should be clearly written down. It should have a name, a short description, a way of practicing it, and an explanation of why it is compatible with Satientis. Ideally, it should also exist in paper form. Then the members of the community vote on it. If someone is not physically present, they may join online by video call. In order for the practice to be accepted as an external practice of the community, at least 70% of all members of the community must vote in favor. Here it is good to show the upper part of the image again. One option shows a practice that passed, the other shows a practice that didn't pass. My friends, this is not a parliamentary game. It is a protection of the shared space. A practice shouldn't be pushed through by a small random group. It should be truly shared by the community, all community. Now, example of an accepted practice. A simple example could be an inspiration from Shabbat. For example, someone brings into the circle an inspiration from the Jewish Shabbat. The point is not to adopt Judaism as a wall, and it is not to say that Satientis accepts Jewish theology. The circle can ask, is there something experientially true in the practice of Shabbat? Yes, a person needs rhythm, rest, stopping, and gratitude. Does it lead to less clinging? Yes, it can weaken obsession with performance, work, control, and constant availability. Doesn't it lead to compassion and relationship? Yes, it can strengthen family, community, gratitude, and care. Does it require dogma? It doesn't have to. It is not necessary to accept a specific theology of covenant with God. One can accept the rhythm of consecrated rest itself. Result: such a practice can be accepted as an external practice of a given community, for example, under the name Evening of Stopping. Example of rejected claim. The opposite example may be a claim brought from an esoteric environment. For example, someone brings into the circle the claim: illnesses arise from unresolved karma, and everyone attracts their illness through low vibrations. Here the circle must ask very soberly, is it true or verifiable? Not as a general claim. Illnesses have biological, genetic, social, psychological, and random causes. Does it lead to compassion? Rather not. It can hurt a sick person and at will to their suffering. Does it soften clinging? Perhaps it gives someone a subjective feeling of control, but at the same time it can strengthen fear, magic thinking, and self-blame. Does it require dogma? Yes, it presupposes an unverifiable law of karma or vibrations. Result: the original claim is accepted neither into the core nor as an external practice. The circle can say, we do not treat illness as guilt. We accept only a gentler element, that the relationship between body and mind can be important, but it doesn't replace medicine or compassion. Conclusion: Satientis then is not a closed cage, but neither is it a spiritual mixture without form. It has a core that is repeated, holds direction, and creates depth. And it has an open space, external practices, which communicates with the world, receives impulses, and allow individual communities to have their own living form. The core doesn't change easily. External practices can enrich a concrete community. Personal inspiration can remain personal inspiration, and whatever leads to manipulation, magical fear, guilt, superiority, or blind belief remains outside Satientis. In this way, Satientis can change tradition, no change, can gain tradition, would be a better word. Gain on tradition without becoming dogma. It can have ritual without creating priestly power, and it can remain open without dissolving. Thank you for your attention, my friends. Wish you a beautiful day, and may just it what is.